Ponte Vedra Beach, a small seaside community in the suburbs of Jacksonville, Florida, looked a lot different during the 1940s than it does today. By 1942, World War II was in full swing, and the fear of spies infiltrating America had its hold over American families in Ponte Vedra Beach, with each household required to put up blackout curtains to deceive enemy submarines. Blackout curtains were not enough, as a German submarine U-584 surfaced, sending 4 trained Nazi agents onto Ponte Vedra's beach on a raft. These spies were trained in deception at the sabotage school in Germany and were specifically trained to fit into American culture, as most of them had previously lived in the U.S. and did not have heavy German accents. The goal of their mission, named Operation Pastorius, was to severely damage U.S. infrastructure like railroad lines, terminals, and water supplies for cities. To ensure this success, the spies buried 4 waterproof boxes of explosives and money, about $175,000 in U.S. dollars, about 4 miles south of the Ponte Vedra Inn. Once the explosives were buried, the group left the beach and caught a train to Cincinnati. The group then split up, 2 of them going to Chicago and the other 2 to New York. Operation Pastorius was a 2-year-long mission split down the East Coast. In addition to the 4 spies that were sent to Ponte Vedra, 4 other spies landed off the coast of Long Island in New York. The group landed 3 days earlier with the same objective, to bury their explosives, uniforms, and tools. But they were caught mid-act by a Coast Guard and the FBI was alerted. The group was able to get away from the beach and into New York City, but knowing the operation was hopeless, George John Dash, the leader of the New York Nazi agents, called and confessed to the FBI. He was taken into custody and gave up the identities and other locations of the other agents.
The recent landing of saboteurs from Nazi submarines sounded a new alert for all Americans. They were apprehended before they could carry out their plans of destruction.
All 8 men were arrested, and President Franklin D. Roosevelt then ordered them to be tried by a military tribunal in Washington, D.C., rather than a typical civilian court. A military tribunal was designed to try enemy forces during wartime. In these courts, judges are military officers and also act as jurors instead of actual civilians. Since these military officers often have much more of a connection to the opposing side, these 8 were tried much more aggressively. The lawyers argued that these men were not granted due process of law. Due process is the right to jury by your peers, granted in the 14th Amendment. Although the spies were not American citizens, the trial was held on American soil. Do you think this was fair? Did they deserve to be judged in a regular court with jurors? Could they even have gotten a fair trial in the U.S.? In the end, the rest of the supplies, including extra money and explosives, were dug up by FBI agents and uncovered from the dunes. All 8 were found guilty and sentenced to death. President Roosevelt, however, altered the sentences of 2 of the spies who had turned themselves in and the others in as well. The remaining 6 were executed in the electric chair and buried in the Anacostia area of Washington, D.C. in unmarked graves.